not too bad, not too bad.
Beautiful wall.
I was just about to say that, and I thought, is it weird to say a beautiful wall?
No, it's the pink. It's the pink I think that I like the most, the guitar.
Oh, right, yeah, that one. That's I've had that for quite some time now. Yeah.
Yes, that is delicious.
So what we normally do is I'll do a little intro in a minute, and then we just ask a bunch of questions and you answer them. Simple as that,
Okay.
really.
Yeah, sure. Awesome.
Sound good?
We'll obliterate the fuck out of you. You must answer it in 10 seconds and 10 seconds straight.
That's ridiculous.
Good, Jamie.
Amazing. Well, if you're ready, then we'll get going.
Yeah, let's do it.
Ladies and gents, I am very excited about today's interview. Today's guest is one that my beautiful co-host has brought to the table. But throughout doing my research, I will openly say I've developed a bit of a man crush on today's guest. This man has been playing music since he was a small boy. He's been on 3 huge TV shows here in the UK. His first appearance when he was 10 years old. A man who I think possibly has the greatest voice I've heard in a very bloody long time. Today we welcome to the show Mr. Mitchel Emms.
Hello. That was quite a big up. Thank you for that.
No worries. My wife's getting concerned. I'm not going to lie.
I can't say I blame her.
I've been told that bigamy is illegal in the UK, though, so you're safe. It's fine.
Don't make our guests leave straight away. Fuck me. Mitchell, man, how has 2020 been for you?
Am I allowed to use swear words?
Yes, you can say whatever you like here.
I mean, first of all, I think probably the first phrase that would come to mind was a combination of it's been all right and then also fucking shit. So, it's been possibly the weirdest year I think I've ever had, to be honest. So, yeah, it's been a quiet time of reflection, a quiet time of being stuck with nothing to do, no musicians to go out and play with, nothing. So it's been a really, really weird year in that regard. So.
But then it also gives you now inspiration for another album.
Well, I mean, yeah, a little bit of that. I mean, a lot of this year I pretty much spent just sort of taking a bit of time off from writing completely because I thought with all this spare time it would be like, oh yeah, I'll just have all this time to just create and make things and I'm not busy with anything. So, and it's annoying because you need new experiences to sort of write things, to come up with things. So I just got to a point very early on in the year where I was just churning out song after song after song and just kind of going, well, it's only been a couple months since I finished my first album. And it's like, maybe I just need to give this a breather for the time being. But as of late, past couple months, I've been getting back into writing again. And I have something new in the works, which is great. So
it was like,
wonderful.
Sat here in my kitchen, making a cup of tea.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the problem. It's like, what do you write songs about, in this whole time, other than just being stuck indoors, and visiting the shop or something, It's just,
Oh, yeah. Oh, bless you, man. Well, other than music, though, have you taught yourself anything new? Have you learned a language, or have you crocheted?
I tell you what, this will sound really cheesy, but I learned the language of loving myself.
Oh,
that was beautiful.
I learned to make peace with myself this year. All the many years of things that I've done, I was like, time to reflect and time to say, hey, man, it's all right. So,
To be fair, we laugh, but considering the amount of people that have really suffered throughout this whole lockdown scenario, that is awesome to hear that someone has come out of it in a positive light.
Well, it's almost like, what's the alternative, really? I mean, so obviously it's affected everybody in a quite personal way and in their own ways, but I think for me, just sort of going from being quite busy at the start of the year, which is sort of everything I've ever done, really, just be a performer, be a session musician, be just out and about doing stuff, to probably being the busiest independently anyway that I've ever been, and just having that all taken away overnight, and just kind of like, well, what am I without music? What is this? I need to sort of figure that out. And I just feel like it gets to a point where I think it was probably around April, June. I was like, I've had enough of this shit. Like, this is this is not good for the old noggin. So yeah, I just got really back into like exercise and sorting my diet out, and I didn't drink alcohol for like 3 months as well, you know, and just tried to really make a good go of just, you know, trying to put myself in a positive place this year. And I think a bunch of those things have sort of, I've stayed with it, stuck it out for the rest of the year, even with this second lockdown as well. And yeah, I think I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Good, that's awesome.
It's good to hear. It's amazing to hear.
It's kind of like, you know, you just got to make the best of it, really. I mean, what else are you going to do? You know? So yeah,
It's a very good point. So there's so much we need, you know, to discuss with you, but let's take us back. Where did this love and passion for music come from you? Because obviously we established you on TV at 10, so it must have come from a very young age.
It wasn't too long before that. I mean, this was in the times when, I mean, I'm sure you guys can relate, when like years felt like, you know, 5 years. You know, it felt like so much, you could just get so much done like in such a small amount of time. So like the ages of like 8 to 10 just felt like just forever for me. So I remember it was I had a family member stay, and he was a bass player, and he brought all of these guitars and stuff with him whilst he was staying with us for a couple of months. And I just saw this black Fender Strat he had in the corner, and I was just like, oh, that looks cool. I like the looks of that. So it was sort of, I just started messing around on guitars and stuff when I was around 8 years old, and just playing random patterns and things. And I just thought it was really fascinating. And I have a couple older brothers, and they were all watching, you know, MTV at the time and all the music channels and things like that. So I was having sort of a daily dose of Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park and System of a Down and Korn and Blink-182 and, you know, all of that kind of early 2000s era of like nu metal and alternative music, as well as like all of the old 90s stuff they were playing on like MTV2, if you guys remember that channel.
Yeah, MTV2 was the best.
Yeah, so there was, you know, that all had like the indie rock stuff, but also a lot of classic stuff on there as well, you know. So so then, yeah, around that time as well, my primary school was a Christian primary school. You know, ones where you sing all the hymns first thing in the morning. And like, you know, none of us took seriously, obviously. We just thought it was, you know, oh, we've got to sing about God, like, you know, whatever, man, you know, all right. And yeah, I remember getting asked to like sing some sort of Christian hymn. I cannot remember which one it was, but it was that moment when I discovered that I could sing, weirdly enough. And I later learned it was called having perfect pitch. So essentially that means that if you sing me a note, I'm able to sort of roughly tell you what that note is. And I got that from it was sort of a very intuitive thing from an early age. It was something I never really thought about, because I was just able to just really harmonize easily with music and just pick up on notes and stuff. So it was kind of like this weird combination of all these little different elements and stuff. And then I was kind of getting into the stuff my brothers were into. I was like, Limp Bizkit was one of my favorite bands. Like at that time, I was like 9 years old. I was like, Fred Durst, what a legend.
I was the same.
Yeah. And you know, and then obviously like Linkin Park and stuff, you know, and all those kind of bands. And it was I loved all that stuff. And then one day, I think I was watching MTV2, and this video comes on called Heart Shaped Box by Nirvana. And I remember it as a very significant day, because it was just, I saw that video and heard that song, and I was just like, what is this? I don't know why, but just what is this? Like, I need to know what this is. So this was in the days of like, I think I was probably infecting the family PC with like LimeWire or some shit, you know? So I couldn't remember the name of the song either. I couldn't remember what it was called. So I ended up downloading this other song. I was like, oh, this song called Lithium. What's this? You know, and just downloaded loads of stuff. And then I just got really into Nirvana, and then that kind of spurred me on to. I just decided that I want to play guitar and I want to sing, and I want to do something like at least as creative, or at least entertaining, being as creative as this. There's just something about it that just the aesthetic of it, the vibe of it, just pulled me into becoming a huge Nirvana fan. And I was around about sort of 9 years old. I just started learning all of Kurt's riffs on guitar and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it was just sort of, it was a bit of a sort of weird storm of multiple elements, things going on. And sort of Nirvana was really really was the band that made me kind of like want to really go out and sort of maybe do that one day.
What's amazing is that you downloaded Nirvana on LimeWire and got Nirvana rather than either some classical stuff or hardcore porn. So yeah, fair play. Good work. Which always seems to be the way, LimeWire. Oh, Slipknot, awesome! I download that. Of course, that's 9.
Obviously, the days when you find Linkin Park, One Step Closer .exe. Oh yeah, that'll play on my media player. Yeah. Download freaking malware or something on your computer. So
yeah, bastard.
Yeah, ridiculous. But yeah, so kind of started like that, and around the same time, like I just sort of discovered the Beatles as well. So
nice.
Started really getting into trying to learn as much Beatles stuff as possible, and that's how I learned about open tunings and stuff, because I basically was listening to these Beatles songs and I was going, this doesn't make any sense. I can't play normal chords. It just doesn't sound right. I think it was like the song Norwegian Wood by the Beatles. And I was trying to figure that out for ages. And then one day I just had the idea of just open tuning my guitar. And I think my dad had seen me do that and managed to learn this thing. And he was like, okay, that's probably not normal. Open tuning at 9 years old, what's going on here, and you can sing and all this stuff. And then this thing was rolling through towns. This sort of live show thing. It was called the Stars in Their Eyes Road Show, and it was at the Symphony Hall in Birmingham. And it's kind of a thing where you go in, you audition for it amongst hundreds of other kids. If you get into the top 3, you'll do 5 nights at the Symphony Hall. Don't ask me. 5 nights at the Symphony Hall for a bunch of small children doing their impressions of their favourite artists. And then whoever wins that gets a place on the Stars in Their Eyes kids show. So I went and did that and one day, and I ended up getting into the top 3, which was pretty cool. But then the whole thing went completely bankrupt, didn't go forward, just obviously they couldn't find the funding, or there just wasn't enough interest in it. So they just pretty much just gave us all just have some invitations to audition for the Stars in Their Eyes kids show. So pretty much kind of went for that because we thought, why not? My parents were all for it, and sort of why not? This will be fun.
That's awesome. So you're self-taught then, guitar-wise?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. I still can't read tab. I just look at it and it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it does, but it just looks like. I think if you can learn by ear, which is obviously not technically the best way of doing it, but if you can, then it's it's just quicker,
Yeah.
Rather than trying to have to read and go, oh, this finger on this fret here and this note there. It's just you kind of hear it, and then you just intuitively know the note and where that is on the fretboard, and you just go, oh, it's that.
And
I can't explain it. It just was something that, it's one of those weird things that I struggle to articulate until I actually had a little bit of basic understanding of music theory, and went, oh, this, that's C, that's D, that's E, etc. So. But yeah, mostly self-taught. Yeah.
Fair play, dude. Absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. So going back to Stars in Their Eyes then, how was that? I mean, just for starters, you got to meet everyone's kid crush, Cat Deeley. So, if everyone watched SMTV Live, everyone was like, oh my God, Cat Deeley, holy crap.
I mean, it was a really weird, I think for me, it was a very strange experience. I'm probably going to say that multiple times during this. It was a strange experience. Everything on some level has always been strange. I think that's just the nature of music or show business or anything. It's just always bizarre. But around that time, I was pretty much I think I'd moved, we'd moved and I'd moved to a new school and stuff. And I was just outcast horrendously by the other kids because I basically made friends with like one of the most uncool kids in the school. And all of a sudden I was target for it as well. And then I was growing my hair out blonde and long. And they just, kept getting called girl every day at school. And then like being made to feel like I didn't belong with the kids who play football, all that kind of thing. So, so in a way, like music at that time was sort of like my escape in a way, if you want to make it that dramatic, I suppose, but it was like, it was this place where I could kind of just be what I wanted to be. And so the Stars in the Ice thing was weird because it was like I was simultaneously at school and just people weren't always very nice to me. And then next thing I know, I'm on this like ITV show, as well at the same time. So it was kind of a weird experience as a sort of 10-year-old, sort of be having that sort of contrast of different things going on. So, but I really enjoyed it. It was a really cool experience. I'm just trying to remember it because it feels like it was an absolute lifetime ago now. But I had a great time on it. The one thing I really thank the makeup department for is that initially in the early like rehearsals for it, they wanted to get sponge and put bristle all over me. I looked like Kurt Cobain, so I was like this little 10-year-old bristle on and everything. And I think at the end, like towards the end, they just went, this just looks a bit stupid. Like we're not going to do that. So I was like, yeah. So it's not going to be complete cringe. So, it was a great experience. So I was just quite sad because like I didn't make it through to like the next round or anything. I just got that like one episode, and it was like the first episode of the series as well. And I was up against like 4 girls who were like 16 plus. I was just a little 10-year-old boy doing Kurt Cobain. So
and you smashed out the park.
I loved it. I was going to say, I watched it the other night and I was like, okay, this 10-year-old kid's going to do another. And first off, as soon as you said Kurt Cobain was an influencer as a 10-year-old, I almost pissed myself because I was thinking there's some things about Kurt Cobain's life you probably shouldn't be inspiring as a 10-year-old.
Oh, it's weird. They sent me, I remember because we had to go and do like choreography sessions as well. So I remember going down to like one of them. And there wasn't really much they could do with me. They were just like, well, here's these VHS tapes we can play. Go watch these at home. And like they were of like some of the most weirdest moments in Nirvana's history. So like one of the ones the videos they sent me was that infamous video where Kurt smashes the bouncer's face in with his Fender Jaguar at like in Dallas or something, and it's just like the most nuts gig. He like halfway through the gig he smashes the mixing desk up with his guitar as well. It's just obviously we're not having a good time on that show.
You so should have done that.
Watching this as a 10-year-old going, that's fucking badass. That is like, and so yeah, like there was obviously that aspect of it was quite adult, but I think I was one of those edgy 10-year-olds where I was like, yeah, all right, man, yeah, get it.
I loved it though.
Really didn't, but I thought I did.
I loved it though because me and the wife were watching it and we was like, because Kurt's got that gruffness to his voice, and I was like, there's no way in hell he's going to sound like Kurt. He's 10 years old, and then he starts singing. I literally just looked at my wife, looked at the TV, and I was like, oh fuck off! He's 10. How is he talented?
That's hilarious.
I was like, I'm not having this.
I used to try and give myself a sore throat to try and like naturally get that grit. I didn't let go of that for a really long time as a singer, and then I realized how hard it was making my life as I got older. So then I kind of cleaned up my vocals a bit more. But around that time, that was kind of what I wanted to do. I was like, how do I get my voice lower? How do I get my voice more gravelly? And I don't really know how I did it either. I think because around this time as well, I mean, after the whole Stars in Their Eyes experience kind of, finished, I remember I was driving back after that with my dad, and we were driving back from Granada to TV, and my dad kind of giving me this big monologue about, well, you see this, Mitchell, I know you're upset about, you're not getting through, you see this, that's the future ahead of you, behind you, that's the past, like you're moving on, that kind of thing. And after that, it was a kind of like him asking me whether this was what I wanted to do, because it was sort of like, well, I'd just done a big performance on this TV show, and it was like, well, are you sure this is the path that you want to take in life? You know, because my dad had been involved, or at least been around sort of like musicians and stuff in the past, you know, so he kind of has an idea of what the whole thing's like, you know, and you know, 10-year-old me, not thinking about anything, not thinking about one day having to, you know, maybe rent somewhere, or, you know, earn money, and, you know, all those kinds of things. It was like, yeah, I want to be a rock star, I want to be a musician, I want to go and gig, you know, I want to make songs and all that. So sort of that experience kind of solidified me doing this past 17 years of music, you know. So that was the kind of the moment when I knew that, okay, I can probably do something, maybe I can, you know. So yeah, and around that time as well, like my aunt was, she was a sort of like a pub singer. She would do like everything from pop to rock to, you know, in like working women's clubs and stuff and pubs all around the Midlands. Turn up with like, you know, a bunch of lights and mixing desk and a PA system, turn up, play to a bunch of backing tracks. And around that time I was getting up and doing like a half-an-hour set of songs and covers with backing tracks that I'd made at home, because I just got a little 8-track recorder and a little tiny drum machine, and I was just, yeah, you know, and I got a bunch of cheap guitars at this point, so, you know, I was using the, you know, sort of a knockoff Fender Precision bass copy thing, and learning how to play bass, and then layering up stuff and using this drum machine and things, and playing those in pubs and clubs. I think that probably did add to the gruffness in my voice, because everybody could smoke back in pubs, you know. So I just remember every gig, like, I had a sore throat afterwards, and I was like, why is my throat so sore? And just like, why do my clothes smell weird? You know.
Why can't I see anyone?
You know, I've got a guitar in that cupboard over there. It's in its case at the moment, but it's like my first ever guitar, which is this Squire Stratocaster. And it was completely white. All of the pick guard, the plastic on the front was completely white. And using it for all those years, it's basically just stained it yellow.
Oh.
Just the cigarette smoke in the pubs and stuff.
Lush.
Kid you not. It's pretty weird looking back at that now and going, that's such a different time now. Like, and it's scary because I'm like old enough to like remember that now, and I go, oh yeah, I'm getting old. Shit. It's like a fucking whole era that, you know, so yeah, it was a really weird way to start doing music, I suppose. Yeah.
What I love, right, from what I've noticed, is how incredibly supportive your parents are. Like, just from all the videos I've watched of you and stuff, and I find it incredible, absolutely incredible. And I don't know, it's weird because obviously from a personal point of view, like I never had that from my parents. So to see it, I love it when I see it. I just love it every time. I don't like the pushiness. You know, they're like, oh no, they're so amazing. You must. Yeah, and I get they're like, ah, you're like, oh God. But but I mean, I like, especially how upset your dad gets at points. Like, I find it's incredible, man. Absolutely amazing to have that support around you.
I mean, because I know exactly what you're referring to. It's the voice video, and I think obviously like we did a lot together in terms of the him helping me just get out and playing gigs and stuff. When I was about 12, I started doing my own like 2-hour solo shows, and my dad would come along and he would pretty much help rig up the lights and do the mixing for the gig and stuff, you know. And yeah, we went through a lot of stuff, and then you know, there was many bands in between and stuff that he was also kind of involved in the sidelines as well. You know, we've been through a lot to get to a point where something like the voice or something happening to me was just a big deal, you know. So it was quite an emotional moment in a way, because of all the years of hard work we put in at that point, you know. All the times we fell out as well, they were just stupid things. You know, me going like, I don't like that type of music. Yo, you think you should do this? No, I want to do this. No, you should do that. You know, and being finding my identity as a rebellious teenager, you know, all that kind of thing. So yeah, it was quite, yeah. I mean, they've always been really supportive of what I do. I don't think I would have been able to have. I think things would have been very, very different for me had they'd not been encouraging of me pursuing music, you know, and yeah, so I pretty much owe them quite a lot. Is probably a very big understatement. So
it's beautiful, man. I just think it's amazing.
It's like when I was doing my research, I was watching some Toxic Generation videos on YouTube.
Yeah, Toxic Federation. Yeah.
It is Federation. Why are it in Generation?
Yeah, Federation.
By the way, yeah.
Toxic Generation. That sounds more like modern.
It does a little bit. But either way, I was watching them anyway, and I noticed in the comments, like your dad was like, Mitchell, and he does this, and he does this, and I was like, I love it. Even in the comment section, he's bigging him up. I love it. But were you 15 during Toxic Federation? Did I read that right?
Yeah, I joined when I was 15. By that point, it was like I'd been doing these solo pub gigs and getting up and doing, working men's clubs with my aunt from the ages of like 10 until I was sort of 14, 15. So around that time, I was just starting to reach the end of high school and just kind of going, well, I want to be in a cool band. I want to be in a band, not playing covers in pubs and stuff. Like I want to go and do something original, or whatever. And I mean, I was still writing my own stuff, and I was writing my own stuff from day one, really. But this opportunity came. My dad had found their MySpace or something, and that they were looking for a lead singer. And he was like, "Look at this band! Like, look at these guys! Like, the drummer's amazing, the guitarists are amazing, the bass player's amazing." And it was just sort of like the bass player was the singer at the time. And it was like the whole band they were amazingly talented for their age, because they were all like 17, like 18, and they were pretty good for that age, So the only thing that was letting them down was just the vocals, just because the bass player was singing and he wasn't really a singer, He was just kind of like, he's writing these really quite grown-up lyrics, but it just wasn't carrying it vocally. So they were looking for a singer, and I sort of stepped in at 15 because I had like really long hair. I kind of looked a bit older as well, and I'd been performing now at that point for like 5-6 years, pretty much non-stop. So it was like I was, felt pretty ready to go and join something that, had multiple members and a manager and, a tour van and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Just
the songs are so good. The ones I listened to.
Like, I mean, I didn't write anything on the first album. It was more I came in and sort of re-recording the stuff that they'd already done, but I liked the lyrics. I mean, I think at the time I was a bit of me who wanted to get involved creatively, because that's where sort of my heart lies. But looking back, and now I'm older, I'm reading a lot of those lyrics. It's like they're really, really good lyrics. Like, and the musicianship there was pretty solid. I mean, they were doing this whole sort of combination of like Iron Maiden meets Alter Bridge kind of vibe, very much like 2 feet, like, one in the traditional sort of like classic rock side of things, and kind of another in the kind of modern sort of like metal, kind of hard rock metal sort of place, So it was really interesting in it, and I just jumped at the chance for it. Tried to make the best of it.
Obviously, being a singer at such a young age as well, and obviously saying join this band at 15. I know this was strange, but did puberty affect your voice at all? Because obviously, you're going for that age, your voice is cracking over the shop.
I kind of have a story about that, which is like, because I said to you, I was writing songs from a really early age, and I produced with my dad. Kind of helped me do this, but I produced this album called The Experiment when I was like 10. So it was all the stuff we've been doing on this little Boss BR8 8-track recorder with this drum machine, and just making all these songs. And so by then I had about like 12, 13 songs that had been recorded, and I was playing them in pubs and clubs. Looking back, I think it's hilarious that I'd gone into some sort of workings club. I was playing these Nirvana-inspired grunge punk songs as a 10-year-old, with like, full distortion turned up on my guitar, just like throwing myself around, standing on the tables, running around and stuff.
It's incredible.
And I noticed when puberty hit, because I remember suddenly these songs that I'd written with an 11-year-old's voice just suddenly started getting really difficult out of nowhere. And I was like mid-song going like, why can't I get these notes? Why are they so hard? This was I think it must have been about 13 at this point, and they were just suddenly just so difficult to sing. And I think in a weird way, being like forcing myself to sing these songs that obviously had been written in a higher key or higher range than what I was currently in, probably helped me build up to being able to sing all the kind of high rock stuff. Because I was just constantly training my voice to sing higher and higher and higher as puberty was getting more and more and more. So I was kind of battling puberty by just, developing my vocal muscles, I suppose. But the thing is, it's like, when I talk about it, it sounds like, oh, it's calculated. And so wasn't. It was just kind of going with it, and that's it, really,
I suppose it's inevitable to happen, though. If you're a vocalist at that age, it's going to happen. So.
Yeah, and it did.
Brilliant.
First time experience of it, yeah. So,
Did you have any training with your singing?
No.
Was this all natural?
The training sort of came from doing these 2-hour cover shows as a kid, because it was like, you just get to a point where, like, what are you going to do? Are you just going to say, sorry, my voice is gone, good night? It's like and I've had this has been more of a lifelong thing. It's never just been just when I was that age. This is just always something that I think every singer who's doing the kind of long shows has to sort of kind of come like find a way of dealing with, which is a sense of having the stamina to get through gigs, having the stamina to sort of or find different ways of approaching songs. And I think a lot of my training was just being put in really ridiculous, difficult situations where it's like, oh, I've got an hour of a show to do that I'm doing, and how am I going to get through it because I'm struggling? And you just kind of have to just find a way, just get through it. So I think a lot of my vocal training just came from singing live. Really, I've never been one to like practice at home. I don't like practicing at home a lot. I've always been quite self-conscious in the sense of like, how like someone just like singing badly like from like another room, it just sounds kind of weird. I don't know, like it's like you could just hear someone like no music, just someone going and it's just like it sounds horrible. And I just kind of feared like that's what I sounded like outside of a room. I'd just be annoying the hell out of everybody. So gigging was pretty much all where I learned how to sing. It was just literally from just performing live, and yeah.
I had an image in my head then of you doing Smells Like Teen Spirit whilst in this club with the puberty hit going, hello, hello!
Oh my God.
Could you imagine? I'm guessing that didn't happen, but could you imagine that?
It didn't happen. I think I'd already like Kurt Cobained myself at this point, where I was tired of Smells Like Teen Spirit after a while, because it was like he was. Because because I'd done it on TV, like everyone was like, "Oh, will you sing Nirvana? Will you sing Smells Like Teen Spirit?" And I was just like, after I was like, "No, I don't want to do it." And I was like, "Oh, I understand why Kurt hates this. Oh, okay." Getting asked why getting asked to do it. It's just I was really embarrassed about it for a long time, and then I think one day it was sort of when I was old enough, the penny dropped that I went, "Oh yeah, that's funny." The 10-year-old kid doing Kurt Cobain. That's actually pretty cool. But at the time I was sort of a bit like, ugh, people are going to think I'm uncool or something.
Why?
Just how I felt.
Oh mate, I think it was banging. I thought it was awesome. So
it was.
Yeah.
So obviously we briefly mentioned we've got to talk about the voice.
Yeah.
It's not a show you normally see rock singers on. What made you decide to go for it?
Well, I guess sort of for a sort of bit of a back context, you mentioned the band Toxic Federation.
Yes.
And I pretty much had my, that for me was like really my formative sort of years as a performer, writer, being in bands and stuff. Because I was with them for 3 years, and those were like my first experiences playing like proper venues, playing festivals, touring, up and down the country and stuff, and playing abroad as well. It was all my first time doing that sort of thing. And, I'd sort of seen firsthand how difficult it was to just try and get noticed at all. I mean, you sometimes you're playing to like a couple hundred people and you're like, this is absolutely amazing. And then you play a support gig and then there's like 10 people there, or like the only people there are just people who sort of, are friends or family of the band, and it's just like where are we supposed to go? Where's the way forward? You know, and a lot of frustration in that. You know, so I grew up with a pretty much a hatred of talent shows. I absolutely didn't like them. I still don't like them. And yeah, it was just totally not my thing. It was very much against everything I stood for, you know. And so after I'd left that band at like 18, you know, and that was quite, you know, a big deal for me, leaving my first band and wanting to completely change the sort of type of music I was making as well. Because I wanted to write my own stuff. I wanted to go in a more sort of alternative kind of indie rock kind of direction. And The Voice just kind of came out the blue. I remember watching the first series and going, oh, okay, this doesn't seem that bad. It's not X Factor. They're not putting like old people up on there and laughing at them. You know, it's like, it seems pretty legit. You know, obviously it was the first series, but that was it. I kind of just had that brief moment in my mind where I just thought, oh, I could do that. I reckon I could do that, you know. And out of the blue, about, sort of half a year later, someone had seen one of my YouTube covers that I'd just started doing, which is at the time I just started posting me playing some sort of more poppy songs on acoustic. And I got an industry recommendation to audition for the show. So they contacted me. So I was like, oh, okay. What have I got to lose? I'm not getting on that in a million years. And even if I do, no one's going to turn for me. I'm a long-haired guy. I have I'm not what they are looking for at all. If anything, it might just be like a nice little bit of exposure or something, you know. That's the way I felt at the time. It was just like, you know, I'm a genius. I could go on this show and not take it seriously. Yeah, that kind of thing. No, I mean that in jest. Like, I did take it seriously in the sense of, like, I want to do a good job and, you know, want to, you know, I'd obviously like to get some screen time or something, you know. But it was just, again, like, I just went with it. It was not really much calculated thought really gone into it. It's just kind of like do you want to do it? Yeah or no? And I was just like, okay, I'll give it a go. And they have, like, obviously, like, a load of pre-auditions before the audition, you know, these kind of TV shows. So I got through all of them, and then the day came to kind of go and do it. And like I said, I just didn't expect to get through on it. So I just thought, okay, I'm just going to enjoy this, you know, and this will be a great moment. And that's all this is going to be. But then when Danny turned his chair around, it was like, oh, okay. Like, did not see that coming. And I was just like, this is the start of a really, really interesting experience. Like, I knew that things were going to change in a way. Something change.
He more than turned around. He fucking mounted the chair. Right?
Yeah, that was a weird thing. Like, I didn't see that until I saw it televised like months later, because it was like, I'm just there doing my thing and performing. All I just saw was just the chair turn around, and he was just like, you know, there. So then I just kind of gave him a, you know, bit of a salute of sorts, and that happened, you know. So it was sort of like okay, now I've got to take this seriously. I've really got to, you know, I'm in there, you know. So, but yeah, it's kind of like I said, it's not like I didn't take it seriously, but I essentially just didn't think that anything was really going to go any further than that. I had no expectations other than just see what happens. Roll the dice. It
was Tom's face I loved the most when you were going, because that Foo Fighters rendition was unreal. I absolutely loved it. Even I was like getting really into it as well when you were going for it. But it's Tom's face which just sat and just goes, ooh. It's like, yeah. I just and obviously Will.i.am was just loving it as well.
It was mental. I mean, when I got to see that back, it was ridiculous, because I mean, a lot of the rounds, everything up until the live rounds was all recorded and shot months before it aired on TV. So, like, we already knew who was going to be in the lives even before anyone had ever seen the initial auditions. So we'd already been through months and months of like, you know, filming of the rounds, rehearsing. I was just in London all the time, just doing stuff, which was great. Spending probably my first decent amount of time ever in London, you know, that was quite exciting. You know, yeah, it was weird to kind of finally see it on TV. I think that was the weirdest moment. And then my phone was just like for like an hour, just people sending me messages and following me on Twitter and stuff. You know, it was like, okay, I just gained 5,000 followers in the past hour.
Fucking hell.
That kind of thing. There's someone else on the show who they had like one of those cheap, just a cheap, crappy phone, and the phone died, like just completely, like started heating up and died just due to the amount of vibration.
No.
People just like following them. Yeah, they had to buy a new phone in the end. It completely just broke their phone.
Shit.
It is mad. I mean, just imagine it. It's such a surreal experience, because imagine like I think it was like something like 8 million people watched that or that show on that, like on my audition, and it was like, think about the small percentage of that all suddenly liking what you did and then following you all at the same time. It's like definitely a very weird experience. I'll probably never ever experience anything like that ever again. But it was just such a strange thing to see your phone and your social media just light up like that, because you've just gone from having, it was like 200 followers to like, you know, like I said, 5,000 like in one night. Just like
insane, man. So what made you decide to do Lady Antebellum? I know I can't say it anymore, can I? What made you decide to do Lady A?
Lady A.
I love that song.
That's a Seattle blues singer, and she's trying to take Lady, the previously known as Lady Antebellum, to court over like using their name.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think I read that today, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like, oh yeah, okay. Basically, the reason why I did the Lady Antebellum one was because the previous round, I remember having my soul slightly crushed a little bit, because there's like a round before that, which was like, you know, we're going to pit you up against one of your teammates, and you're going to do like a sing-off thing. And when at this point, I was kind of like, still like, okay, I've done Foo Fighters, but like, I don't want to be like pigeonholed as like the cheesy rock guy with the blonde hair kind of thing. Like, I'm not looking to be like Axl Rose or some shit. You know, it's just like, it's kind of like not. I mean, it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just like, that's not really what I was going for, and I wanted to show that I was, you know, versatile, that I could do lots of things. And when they said, "Oh, you're going to be doing Are You Going to Be My Girl" by Jet, I was just like, "Oh, that song from the adverts." Like, you know, dun, 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 dun. And I mean, yeah. I think for me, again, that was another example of like you going, well, I'm probably not going to make it through, because the guy who I'm up against is like classically trained musical theatre legend who's in the We Will Rock You musical. Yeah, like how am I going to beat this guy? Like, I'm not. So I'm just going to have fun with this. And I got on with him. He was a really nice guy, a great singer, and somehow I got voted through. It was like, it's just basically said you were the better performer. Like, we enjoyed your performance more, and you sounded more genuine, I suppose. I think he was too clinical. So it was like, okay, now I'm on to another round. Okay, this is just surreal. So then the next round was like, this time around I got a little bit more of a say in kind of what the band was doing, what the musicians were doing, and all that kind of thing. And I went, well, what can I do that's different? And they had like a huge book of songs that you could perform on the show, essentially. Like, these are all songs that have been okay with us for you can do. So there's loads of stuff in that. And I had like a long distance relationship at the time, and heard this song, and I was just like, oh yeah, okay. I want to do this. But I want to kind of get my guitar out. I want to play my guitar on stage as well this one. And I remember meeting up with the band in like a pre-production thing and just kind of going, let's do like a rocked up version of this song. Let's just do something different. And so yeah, it was kind of like just a bit of an experiment, really. Just like, well, this might be my last round on here, so let's do something that isn't rock and roll, you know.
And you killed it, son. Absolutely killed it. I love country music, so
it was not my least favourite, but I think it's the one I didn't sing the best on. I think I was quite nervous for some reason. It was quite I don't know. It was just, I didn't think I sang as well as I could have done on that particular one, but I enjoyed it, and it was such a chill vibe in it as well at the same time, because I remember getting my guitar on the stage, and there's like loads of time in between, because like you've got your teammate to do the song, and then I get this freaking guitar out, and like with sound, line checking it, and I start playing like The Simpsons to like the whole audience, and like in front of Will I Am and Tom Jones just going da 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 da.
it's amazing.
Just doing stupid stuff like that. Like it's just my sense of humor. You're in a surreal situation, act surreal. I
love it.
Just have fun with it.
Incredible.
So with the coaches, do they actually coach you? Do you get much time with Danny, or is it just for the TV show? They don't really.
Just for the TV show.
Figured it would be.
I mean, it's not that I didn't get to spend any time with him. It was. I remember he invited me to backstage to the O2 Arena. The Scripts were headlining it in London, and I got to like stand on the O2 Arena stage and and play a bunch of songs for all the crew and things, on his guitar. And that was just, when you look at a room that big and you go, that's going to be filled with like thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and like all the legendary bands have played this place, and you're just walking around the backstage, all of the hallways backstage, and you see all of the things on the walls, and you find a secret room, and that was built for Michael Jackson and stuff. Like, it's just, that was a wicked experience. And I remember me and him sharing a cigarette in one of the rooms somewhere, and just chatting about stuff. And, there's kind of like moments like that where we were just talking about stuff. And he's like, "Here, meet my producer, meet this person, meet this. We're gonna do this with you. We're gonna do that with you. Don't worry about winning this or anything. Like, we'll get you in touch with our management." So at that time, you stood on the O2 Arena stage and you're going, "Seems legit," And there was this kind of stuff like that. And he would just randomly come at me out of nowhere with just random ideas. "Oh, Mitch, have you heard 9 Inch Nails?" I was like, "Yeah, all right, yeah." He's like, You should do Hurt by 9 Inch Nails," and then he was off with like his entourage somewhere.
But I love that. I thought there was more. That's why I stayed silent. I thought there was more to it. 9 Inch Nails. Yeah. Is there more to this or what?
Yeah, there was all like stuff like that. I mean, I think after that was originally what I was going to do for the live shows. Was I was going to show my deep introspective self by doing a sort of rendition of Hurt by 9 Inch Nails, and that was what I was going to do.
Smash.
So I really wanted to do something that wasn't I'm running around the stage being a mental rock guy. I wanted to do, because I listen to all these other great singers, and they're doing these really emotive songs, and they're doing really amazing things. I'm like, I feel limited to just being the guy running around the stage doing the big loud thing. And I'm like, well, that's not just what I do. Like, I want to do something whilst I have the chance to on the television show, to do something quite special, at least for me, or just to feel it would fulfill me on some level, that I'd shown as many sides of myself as I could. So then it was that, and then it got changed to, I was going to do Bed Shaped by Keane, which I love that song, and I was like, yeah, I really want to do that one. And then last minute it got changed to, it was basically like, "Oh, I'm an industry insider, and I know this band's going to be huge by the time," and this song, like, by the time you do the lives, and this song is just going to be everywhere. It's called Radioactive by this band I know called Imagine Dragons. Why didn't you do that? So it kind of got a bit like pressured to kind of do that one, and then I did that one, and it wasn't really the song I wanted to do for the lives. So,
is there no way you could be like, "No, I'm doing Keane"?
The thing is, it's like when you find someone who's, I think, especially when at that age for me, I was like 19. It was just like, if someone who's, you know, you're looking up to in a way, you're kind of going, oh, like, you know, you're this ultra successful musician, you know, and I trust what you're saying. I trust that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what I place a sense of trust in that, you know, rather than trying to be someone who was difficult to work with. You know, I didn't want to be difficult to work with. I wanted just everything to be quite easy, you know. And it's not that I didn't make the most of doing that song. Like, I actually quite enjoyed it. Especially we sort of incorporated doing like the piano bit at the start and things like that. That was really cool. It was also a really weird moment because, like, when I was in that band called Toxic Federation, there was a huge period of my time with them. I used to wear red jeans on stage, and obviously the band's called Toxic Federation. It has like a big toxic logo symbol as like part of the band logo.
Yeah.
And it was weird performing Radioactive because Wardrobe had put me in red jeans, and on the back screens there were these toxic logos flashing on the back. And I was just like, that is such a weird moment because I'd left that band about a year and a bit ago. So it was still quite fresh. And then next thing I'm on national TV, and then that was going on as well. It was a sort of a bit of a weird one. You know?
That's odd.
Yeah.
It's also they've been to watch him and been like, we know what we'll do. We'll fuck with him, but we'll wait.
So what led to you coming off the show then?
I got voted off. It was basically put up to a public vote. I didn't go on with much of a sort of a sob story, really. I could have gone with the whole, I was bullied through school, I was outcast through school, nobody liked me, and that whole thing.
No.
You know, all these years I performed and people still don't like me, and, you know, I just really want to be famous, you know, that kind of thing. You know, I could have done that, and I didn't. I pretty much, because I didn't really know what, I just was kind of like, well, there's not been some huge tragedy of some sort, like, that I really particularly feel like sharing with you all. You know, it's like, my dad helps me do gigs. I've done lots of performing. That's all you need to know, you know. But they just, obviously, they want to create like they want to have a sort of sob story. They want that kind of, you know, human story to add to make them likable. And I just didn't really, I didn't really have that. The other guy I was up against, he definitely had a sort of sob story of sorts. He got like dropped by multiple labels when he was young, or like kind of like an almost made it. Then it didn't happen. Now I'm cleaning windows. You know, I want to, you know, this is my last chance, like my last chance. You know, that kind of thing. He had quite the sob story going on, and this whole like emotional narrative going on with him. And also I was a rock guy, running around the stage, screaming at the top of my lungs. And also, after I'd finished the performance, Holly Willoughby comes up to me and she goes, like, you know, that was amazing. You know, how do you feel? And I'm on live television and I go, Jesus Christ, that was amazing.
Oh.
So, like, it's like something you can't say on live TV or at that time. And I just didn't think about it. And then she had to like, oh, I'm sorry to the watchers back home. He's obviously a little flustered after his performance. You know, I didn't know that at all. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it or anything, maybe, I don't know. But this is the first thing I thought of saying. It was such a long and emotional day that I just was like, Jesus Christ, that was
At least you were like, fuck me.
I was going to say, it could have been worse.
You know? So that kind of happened, and so I mean, there were some people who were really upset about that, but it was quite funny watching like people like those kind of people got slaughtered in the comments sections on Facebook. Someone put like, I absolutely have respect for you and your voice, Mitchel Emms, until you said the Lord's name in vain on live television. And like people were just coming in and just like attacking this woman called Mary, kept like putting it on every post that had anything to do with it. It was so funny, you know.
Brilliant.
But yeah, no, it was put to an audience vote, and they were like, yeah, let you go now. So
we're voting out the heathen.
At the end of that I'm quite upset about it. I was quite, because I think it was that kind of like realization that at that point, that was the first time throughout the whole thing in which I thought, you know what, maybe I could do this. You know, you've been in it for such a long time, and the whole time I just thought, nah, I'm not getting through. just enjoy it for what it is. And then by the time I got to the lives, I was like, okay, you know, there's some momentum. And I'd obviously by that time seen like the public reaction to all the stuff that was like people finally seen it on TV, and it was like the, you know, like socials were all blowing up and looked like things were all on the up from here. And I was quite sad for it to be over. I just kind of thought, well, this is it, you know. So, and yeah, that was that.
So what did this lead on to? Obviously, you've got this massive social media following now. So where did it lead on to from that?
It sort of, it was a weird one because I really did expect something really big to come from the show. You know, I mean, you had like Danny saying stuff like, you know, people should just buy tickets to Mitchel Emms' fucking show right now, you know, all this kind of stuff. And you just kind of bought into it by the end of it. You know, I had gone in it quite cynical, gone in it kind of not expecting anything and kind of being a bit, well, it's just TV, you know. But by the end of it, it's just like, you were kind of like, oh, okay, this seems like it's going somewhere. And then a couple of months, didn't hear anything of anybody. Nothing. Just nothing. So I just felt completely back in sweat. Life hadn't really changed. I was still living at home, and you know, I dropped out of university as well. So it was like, okay, I don't have that now. What am I going to do? So I put my own band together based on an album that I'd finished just as The Voice was happening. It was like was technically my first solo album, but I turned it into a band project. So I recorded it all myself, wrote all the songs, and I put a band together with the guy who I met in sixth form, who asked to mix it. He joined on guitar and got a bass player, got a drummer, and just went, well, I've been on The Voice, and maybe we can get some gigs. Let's just go and do that. So then we started gigging for the next year and a half, just playing everywhere and anywhere that would have us, really. And although we weren't like, I wouldn't say we were like a rock band as such, like we weren't a classic rock band, we were very much a melodic indie meets kind of punky sort of grunge sort of thing. The band was called Mr. Nothing.
That's really good.
I don't know, it just was the name I thought up with. I came up with a song called Mr. Nothing once, and then I just thought, oh, that'd be a really cool name. And I couldn't think of anything better, so I just, you know, went with that. And that was a really cool time, because I was feeling like I was back to doing what I'd always wanted to do, which was that I wasn't the lead singer of a rock band where that's all I did. I was kind of doing a bit of my sort of grunge dreams a little bit, whilst also experimenting and discovering new music and discovering myself as a songwriter and as a musician and as a guitar player, coming up with loads of riffs and stuff. So it was almost like the antithesis to what I was on The Voice, for better or worse. That's just the way I felt about it. I just thought, people aren't going to take me seriously because I've been on a talent show, TV talent show. And that was a really weird thing for me, because I just went, I'm just going to go full out, be who, like, whatever I want to be with this band, throw myself around the stage, chuck my guitar across the stage, and, you know, let's just go nuts. Let's have a ridiculous time with this. And I was really passionate into music. The guitarist, he's still one of my really good friends to this day, like John. He was really into what we were doing, and we were starting to like write together as well, get him involved on songs and stuff. It was really starting to become its own thing, like a band. And that's what I wanted. I at that time, even though it was probably a terrible idea for me to have done this, because you'd think that the way I saw it at the time wasn't necessarily what I wouldn't say it was necessarily reflective of reality, in the sense it was in the sense of like what I should have done, like logically, a logical-minded person would have done, is capitalize massively on the fact that you've just been on this huge TV show. Be a solo artist, just go and make the most of your name. And I just didn't do that. I went, no, I want to be a musician of some sort of respect of some form. Like I wanted people to sort of acknowledge me as a legitimate musician, not some guy who was on a talent show. So it was very much the antithesis of who I was on The Voice. Instead of being, you know, this amazing singer, I was doing a lot of shouting and screaming and throwing my guitar and being very, very quite expressive as a performer and being quite intense. I was, that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be this fun but intense thing, And the stuff I was singing about, I was writing about my own feelings. I was writing about my own emotions and things that I was going through, and it was very, very personal stuff. So I just, completely went the other direction. But I managed to get a lot of people to listen to the Mr. Nothing stuff, and a lot of people really liked it because there's a contract that said I wasn't allowed to release any music commercially for like 6 months after The Voice.
Really?
Yeah, the kind of like, you're not really like kind of like benefit from this because this is BBC and it's taxpayer funded. I don't know what it is. There's just tons of red tape in terms of what you could, what you couldn't do. So instead, with this YouTube account where I'd done a load of covers, and then because I've been on The Voice, they racked up like hundreds of thousands of views and stuff. I just thought, well, fuck it. I'm just going to put them for free online. This album that I've worked on, I'm just going to start releasing it, and then I'll put it out when that ends. And I managed to get a lot of people to listen to it, and which is really cool because I was really proud of it. I was really proud of that, especially that first album, because it's the first time I'd ever released anything where I performed and wrote and arranged everything, and recorded it, So that was really exciting. Obviously, towards the end of that, it was, for me, I think, having been non-stop since I was 9 years old, just chasing it constantly. And, that's not even to mention any of the other stuff that was going on in my life and, all the other stuff outside of music, it was just music alone. It was just like, I'd never stopped ever, like for such a long time. And I think around that time, especially around about 2014, it was about a year after The Voice, I got quite bummed out about sort of my situation because I thought, not getting the people to the shows, I'm having to promote, write the music, sort of manage the whole band that I've put together, trying to be a good guy to everybody, trying to make everything happen. And I just didn't feel, I just started feeling like nobody was believing in what I was doing, and that I no longer was believing in what I was doing, even though it was deep down, it was really what I wanted to do. But I just lost belief in kind of everything that I was doing at that point, because I'd gone from such a massive high of being like everyone in my town knowing who I am and people watching all my stuff and, the whole minor celebrity thing for a bit, to being, bottom of the bill, playing to 20 people, within a year kind of thing. It was just like, there's a lot of moments like that. And then we had like members leaving. We went through like 3 drummers in the space of a year, and it's like getting a drummer in a band, like the drummer sort of settled into a band is probably one of the hardest things, because it's such an integral part of the band. So it's like getting someone, up to date with the stuff you were doing and the new music that you're doing as well, and getting them to learn all that stuff, and you've got gigs and stuff, and it's like, and it was just predominantly just me just trying to manage all of that, and it's got a bit much really.
Bless you, man.
So I think this is a good time to probably mention this. I don't know if I should I mention it?
Yes.
We don't know what it is, but yes.
So, a very interesting thing happened towards the end of that whole time. It's sort of late 2014, where obviously being in an alternative rock band and playing venues and at that age as well, I was like 20, like 21. So it's like, obviously one of the things that's going to be quite enmeshed in the things that you're doing with all the late nights is going to be a lot of drinks, and there's going to be, drugs and things, or, all that kind of side of things. I had this absolutely transcendental LSD experience the following year that just completely just blew everything away, that my entire idea of what it was that I was doing as a musician, what my entire life had been up until that point as a musician, as an artist. There's just everything was just called into question in a positive way, in a sort of like a making me realize sort of who I was deep down on the inside. However, this was an incredibly bad time for this experience because so this was quite a profound and crazy experience that I'd had, and really altered what I thought about life completely, who I was. And this was just about a month or two before my band split up completely. And so that happened. Start of 2015, I'm kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. The music I'm writing's definitely benefited from this experience because I'm writing all this really amazing stuff now, but like, just band it's just not happening. It's like people wanting to leave, or certain people aren't getting on, and it's just like I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do anymore. I got to a point where I felt I no longer knew why I was doing it. And then out of the blue again, I took a break from the band for a bit. I just said, I just need to take some time off. Just let's all chill. And then I had this message out of the blue from a rock band called The Treatment, who were kind of like, hey, our singer can't do this tour. We searched you on Google, can you do this tour? And I went down to this audition, just thought, oh, that'd be a cool thing, do something different. It might shake things up a bit, I can do the rock thing, and then did the audition. I was like, oh, can you try this? We've just written this new song, try this. Like, yeah, okay, did it. And they were like, well, okay, since you're good enough, we'll tell you why you're really here, is that our lead singer is actually leaving and we're looking for a full-time replacement.
Okay.
So I'd gone down with my dad at the time, and my dad had pretty much gone like, yeah, Mitch would go for it.
Amazing.
And I was a bit sort of like too, because it wasn't really, in a way, it wasn't that I didn't want to do it or I did think I wouldn't be good at it or something. It was just, I was conflicted about what I wanted. I was very conflicted about what I wanted, but I just felt that I needed to do something. And that this was probably the only opportunity I was ever going to get to be in a touring band that was signed to a record label, that had done really cool things. And I just thought, I know I could learn a lot from this experience and maybe achieve some sort of childhood dreams of it. Because I want to know what it is to do a major European tour. I want to know what it is to do, major festivals. Like, I want to experience that. And I think I've got the skills, to do it. And it was quite exciting. So then that led on to the whole, that next chapter of my life, which was The Treatment and doing that stuff. Sorry, I feel like I just ranted on for like ages.
No.
It's all good because they literally listen to us for an hour anyway. They don't want to listen to us in the interview as well.
But no, a few people who I've spoken to about you from The Treatment. It's like, my mum put me onto The Treatment years ago because she saw you supporting Wasp in Bristol.
Jeez, no way.
And what's really awesome about that is I was talking to her about it earlier, and she went, yeah, I remember that gig. I spoke to his mom afterwards, and she was telling me how proud she was of her little boy, and I was like, so there you go. Both of our mothers have met.
Well, I think they came to one show. On that tour, and that was Wolverhampton. I think it was Civic.
Maybe it was Wolverhampton, not Bristol, then. But I don't know.
Wolfram, I think it was the one they came to, was the Wolfram. I don't know.
But apparently me and your mother have met, so my mother and your mother have met. There you go.
Great. I mean, that was my first tour with them. That was quite an interesting experience.
Our first tour with Wasp.
Yeah, just thrown straight into it. It was a bit quite interesting. I remember the manager of the band kind of saying, "Oh, we had a choice between putting you out with either putting you out with Wasp or putting you out with the Cult, and we chose Wasp." And I was like, why? I love it. A better band. That's just my first thought, but I'm sure he had his reasons, but I think he probably thought, well, the fans of Wasp were probably going to take to The Treatment more than the fans of the Cult would. But I would love to have toured with the Cult, that's for sure.
Unbelievable.
But I'd never really known anything about Wasp. We were never a band that I particularly grew up listening to, knew nothing about, so it was pretty much got asked to go do this big tour with them, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to search up stuff on YouTube. What the hell is this Wasp band? No, You know, you've got songs like "Fuck Like a Beast" and stuff. You know, and I think there was only one song I liked, which was it was the first track off their album called "The Headless Children." And I just thought it was just, I think it was like Wild. It was Wild Child or something like that.
Wild Child, yeah, it's one of the bigger songs, yeah.
It was not Wild Child. It was one of the songs. Just was like, yeah, okay, I get it. I get why people like this band. You know, I had one of those moments with it.
So I really like that Treatment album with you on, especially the track Generation Me. That is a really good song.
Well, it was a really interesting. It was a weird experience for me because I'd gone from writing my own stuff to having no say at all in the writing process with band, and just kind of again being kind of giving things to sing. So we recorded that in Essex. That's Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. So he has like a recording studio there, and Iron Maiden's sound guy was the guy sort of engineering and mixing the album. So we just go up to Steve Harris's house where his daughter and son were living there at the time and stuff, you know, and just go and record at his house. And you see, it's like a time warp. That place was like a time warp because you'd see like the old like hand-drawn Maiden tapestries and things, and just Maiden stuff lying around, and it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I was never a big Maiden fan growing up, but I used to love Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. I thought was an amazing Iron Maiden record. So it wasn't lost on me how kind of cool that was, to go and do that. Like that was really awesome.
So what led to leaving Treatment then? Because you only did the one album with them, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a difficult one really to sort of explain, because I think it was a lot of mixed things were kind of going on with me. It was a sense of that it was probably my darkest time of my life, I think, in a weird way, because it was like everybody just thought that I was living out this sort of dream in a way. Like Mitch is finally doing what he's, because we've seen him all do rock stuff, and this is what he's always wanted to do, being in a band and going on tour and all that kind of stuff. The reality is, obviously, when you're on tour, you're just permanently skint all the time. You just have you're constantly ill. Like for me, there was like a whole alcohol ban for me. I wasn't allowed to drink at all on tour, anytime, anywhere, because being a singer on tour, I couldn't risk it. We did whole tours where we were sleeping on the floor of the van, through winter, through Europe, whilst you see the main band going around in a big sleeper bus, so there was kind of moments like, but the thing is, you can get through moments like that if you feel happy about what you're doing, you feel happy in yourself, you feel like you're with the right people. For me, I wasn't with the right guys. I mean, I wasn't with the right people, and it led to me really feeling like I was I just lost all my self-esteem. I just felt I was trying to have to be somebody I wasn't, trying to please people all the time. I just felt like I was having to be someone else all the time. And because if I wasn't, then it wouldn't vibe with them. They wouldn't, it always kind of had this vibe of a bit of an us versus them, kind of vibe with them. Eventually just made me feel that I was, just kind of like talentless and not worth anybody's time. So how I felt by the end of being with them. And I was pretty much convinced. I mean, I remember being told that I wasn't cut out for the music industry. I was going through quite a deep depression when looking back. I was very depressed. I just I felt very disconnected from what I was doing. I'm proud of that album. I'm proud of the vocal work I did on that album. See, I'm saying all the negative stuff here. It's not that we didn't have good times and I didn't, great laughs with the guys, because I think the band themselves, the guys in the band, they were good guys. They're all good guys, and they mean well. But it's that kind of like, it just wasn't a good time for me. Although I did learn a lot about myself through that experience. I learned what it was that I wanted to do through that experience. I learned, it was a really huge learning experience for me. And obviously on top of that, I was seeing all these countries that I'd never been to before either, and playing these huge stages and stuff. I had experiences with that band I'm never ever going to forget. It's like, I remember one of the final gigs I did with them was playing Hellfest in France. Main stage at Hellfest on Saturday, on Saturday, like in the afternoon, and it was like you're seeing literally there's 100,000 people you're looking at. It's like, whew, like that is, yeah. You have moments like that, and that was a moment for me where I definitely just tried to take that in as much as possible. But no, I was quite happy with what I did on Generation Me. I thought it pushed me as a singer, because the stuff that they were was very much like really out of my range. And the only way I was able to sing that high was because I'd quit smoking like about 2 weeks before my first audition with them. Quit smoking. And I just suddenly had all this extra range to work with after that. So it really tested me as a singer. It tested me as a performer. I came out as a better singer from being in the band. But like I said, it really kind of drove home to me more the questions of, what am I doing this for? What am I doing for this creatively? What am I doing for any of this? Very much a kind of like a moment where I thought, if this is where it ends for me, if this is where I don't do music anymore, if this is where this journey has taken me, then that's, maybe that's it. And maybe they are right. Maybe that I am not cut out for the music industry, And that was a lot that was in my head. It was very much like they'd got into my head with that and really convinced me that I was simply just not good enough. So it was, a really, really complicated time. It was sort of full of really good times, but then also full of really bad times. It was also 2016, so like fucking Bowie died, and
that was the year, wasn't it?
It was just like a dark year, and I was 23. Nobody likes you when you're 23, and
the band said that once.
It felt for me like the year where just everything was just like shit for some reason, even though there was so many amazing things going on. It's that kind of like, oh yeah, like this is a bit more of a taste of real life out of the sort of bubble I'd been living in for a couple of years with just being in my own bands and doing TV stuff. But it was very much like, okay, I'm an adult now. Shit. So, it was just a very, very difficult experience, but in a good way. I think in a good way, because I think, like I said, I learned such a huge amount about myself, about what I wanted out of music, and about my own sense of self-belief, really, because that had completely gone. And it was like, I had to learn how to kind of get that back again, to kind of find my self-esteem again, find my drive to create music, drive to write music, to produce. What is it I like? When I left that band, that was when I was able to revisit some of those, let's just say, transcendental experiences. They were absolutely amazing for me, because they made me realize that all of this stuff that I'd done, being in bands, doing TV, being on stage, wearing a leather jacket, throwing myself into the audience, going around the world, doing all that kind of stuff. Like, what is it that I did all of that for? Let's take it back to the beginning. Why am I doing this? And the reason I kind of was able to find was, I just really like instruments. I just really like great music. I love music. I love conceptual music, like bands like Pink Floyd. I love music that makes me feel something, or teaches me something new about myself, or makes someone not feel so alone. And it's almost like the simplicity of just saying, I just want to make things that make other people happy, and I want them to be beautiful things, for the sake of just making beautiful things, And when you take away all of when you take away all that sort of, pressure of, you need to be marketable, you need to be this, you need to be this, blah, 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 the kind of, how do you become a successful artist in, this sort of weird late stage capitalist society that we all live in, that kind of, that kind of vibe of things, you know. And it was really important for me to sort of get back in touch with the reasons why I even started this in the first place. And so I was able to do that, start doing that again after I left the treatment. And it was almost like a bit of a sort of period of personal recovery, you know, of a lot of years of really being quite hard on myself, especially after, you know, going on The Voice and then just feeling like I'd just been dropped from such a huge height back to square one, and then just spending years in bands, being skint and just being a bit miserable, and just kind of finding my way back again, you know, from that. Because I wasn't going to let, the other thing is I wasn't going to let someone tell me that I wasn't cut out for the music. I wasn't going to let somebody tell me what I can and can't do with my life, you know. And I think it was important for me to prove that to myself, and then turn it into a reason where it wasn't out of trying to do it to, oh, I want to prove all these people wrong. It was like, no, I'm finally just back to, I'm doing this because this is what I like to do. And that was a really beautiful thing to sort of experience, I suppose, you know, kind of getting back to that.
And it sounds like when I
Sorry, that was really intense.
It's beautiful. but it sounds like you did actually take all that on board, and you did all that with the latest album you released. But before I talk about that, we need to quickly discuss the fact that you worked on Strictly Come Dancing, because what the fuck, that was did not expect that when I was doing my research.
Yeah, you and me both. I've been sort of living a bit of an interesting life because, like I said, when I left the treatment, this was kind of that weird moment where I was like, oh yeah, certain doors did get opened by The Voice. There are people who've seen what I did on that show, and they want my skills, whatever they mean, you know, vocally or performance-wise. There are people who would like to hire me or ask me to do sessions or do all this stuff that I just didn't see, or I didn't think about, or I didn't consider before, because I just didn't know that was a thing I could do, I suppose. You know, I was so single-mindedly on doing original music, you know. I didn't realize there was this whole other world full of really lovely, really brilliant, really talented, and very proficient musicians. All in this other world of music work, you know. So I really threw myself into that, and I joined with like an agency. We put together a really amazing band of these really wonderful guys and wonderful, talented musicians. And, you know, we just do like events and stuff, you know, and go around. I mean, this, like the start of this year, we did an event for Cisco, the communications company. And we did that in Barcelona, playing to 7,000 people, opening up for Nile Rodgers. You know, like doing stuff like that. I know, it's incredible. You know, so like I do that sort of stuff. All of a sudden, I've gone from going, I have 100 quid to last me through the month because I can't have a job because I'm in a touring band, and it's just, you know, most I can do is try and get a little bit of work in the meantime. You just odd jobs and stuff. I just never had any money. Just all going on food and traveling to stay with the band. You know, so I didn't have any money. Wasn't earning anything from the treatment. Got nothing from it. So it was like I was just always skint all the time. So then all of a sudden being paid to work as a musician for me was like, oh, I can fund the stuff I want to do. This is great. Like, I'm not facing the job center. Yes, I've made it. You know, that sort of moment where it was really like, that's really did it as well, save me, you know, and sort of keep me pursuing music, because it was like, I can make this realistic. This can be a realistic thing that I can do, and it's not the end of the road for me. I can do something, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning by doing all of these different things, you know, getting asked to play with this band, getting asked to session on this, getting asked to do some vocal work for this thing. It's like I'm still learning all of these things and learning off other musicians. And I got back into playing guitar again on stage as well. So I was very adamant that I wanted to play guitar, and getting my guitar performing skills back up again after years of not being of just being a singer, you know. So there was like a lot of positive stuff. And one of the things that came from that was, it was sort of like a friend of a friend says, oh, my friends in Strictly Band, they're looking for a new guy to cover some of the more indie rock pop stuff that they're trying to kind of incorporate into the show. And again, this was another one of those situations where I just thought, why not? My mom loves Strictly. Let's just, go and check it out. Again, I didn't think I was going to get it. I just thought, get the train down, go and meet her, try it out. And then I get a call that says, can you do next week's show? And you've got like a week to learn like 13 songs, and I was just like, yeah, okay. And then, can you do next week's show? And I think that was why it was. Then again, this is where the whole perfect pitch thing comes in, because it means it's really easy for me to learn stuff really quickly, especially melodically, because I get it straight away, and I can learn stuff really quickly, and that's exactly what a show like that needs. Is somebody who can come in and they go, well, we've got this whole new set of songs this week. We need you to learn them and then perform them in front of millions of people on television. And again, that was another crazy learning experience for me, because I'd never really been in a situation like that before, and it was. I actually really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed my experience on that show, and it was great fun. Really.
So, what were some of the songs you did while you were on there?
I did a bit of everything. I did some really, really ridiculous songs on there, and then I did some other songs I really liked. My favorite one that I did was some sort of like alternative, like American band did a cover of a song called "Drops of Jupiter." Now she's back in the atmosphere.
Trade song, yeah.
Yeah, I love that song, and it was like, I love the cover that this band had done. It had only been done like a week before. Just released on, it was like Sleepless Records released it or something. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And like, I really loved doing that song. It was just a really, great song. And I did another one, Bites the Dust by Queen. I was like, all right, I'll do my best Freddie impression, so that was really cool. Like, again, it was such a weird. It's a weird experience. It is a weird experience because you're so used to seeing something like that on TV. You never thought in a million years you'd get asked to work on that show, and do that, And I think that, there was like I said, I think I probably said earlier, there was a whole part of me that kind of felt like I wasn't going to be taken seriously as a musician, because maybe there was certain. I think looking back, maybe there was certain snobby kind of music people I knew who their opinions were in my mind, and that like I was worried about what they thought. Whereas now I just kind of go, you know what, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like I love making music. I'm happy to do whatever it is that helps me continue to do the things I'm passionate about. And whatever gives me new experiences. I think that's what I've really liked about being in music. Is just there's always something interesting coming around the corner. There's always a new experience. And I like that. I hate things when they're just the same all the time, like 2020.
Yeah.
So, just bringing it all back around again. So I've always loved that unpredictability of it. I've loved, there's always something weird or interesting to get involved in, and I no longer feel like I have to, be ashamed of the things that I've done in my career or so far, and the things I do. It's it's okay for me if I want to work as a singer and use my vocal talents to do things. It doesn't take away from me anymore. It doesn't invalidate what I do as a solo artist anymore. What I do with my own music. I think for a long time I really felt like that was how like the voice was. Like it invalidates me as an artist because I'm not a real musician. And I go, well, I think about the 17 years of gigs and things that I've done, and just effort that I've put in, bands I've been in, and done everything from pop to metal. It's and in a way, and I don't regret any of it. It's I like all types of music. I love doing a varied amount of things, and I'm no longer ashamed of it. I'm just happy to be able to do so.
Should you be, man? Like I said at the start of this, you're stupidly talented. Your voice is incredible. And you shouldn't let anyone hold you back.
But it is easy. I mean, it's the things. It's that kind of thing where like nobody tells you not to do those things. I suppose it's like there isn't really always a guidebook on how to handle these sort of things, and so I guess like same with music. Like I've just tried to learn as I've gone along, really, and just develop as well as a person. And I think like with Vertigo, the Vertigo History's Edge, like that was sort of, for me, was like the pinnacle for me of all of these years of trying to find what it is that I wanted to express as an artist. Like, what is it that it was like the final honing down of like that, really, was how I felt about that. But I think it took all of those years, all that stuff to do it. So it's almost like I always feel like, with anything I make, it's like been my whole life in the making for stuff like that.
Well, they say everything happens for a reason, don't they? So I think that you had to go on this journey. You did all these things that has now led you to now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
But like you say, you released this album last year, and 2019. Yeah. And I'm not blowing smoke. I listened to it earlier. It's incredible. It's from start to finish. It's amazing. It really is. But what led you to wanting to do this solo instead of getting another band together? You're like, this is something I need to do on my own.
I mean, it was something that I needed to do on my own. That's for sure. It was. I think because I'd spent a lot of the times when I've been in these like other projects or bands and things, like I've been making stuff in here or whatever, and honing. I wrote whatever what it is. I wrote, like hundreds of songs over the years, and I love production. Like I absolutely love mixing and production, and I really, over the past couple of years, really got back into that. So I kind of figured out that when I was a kid, I think it was at 9, and I like found a copy of Pink Floyd's The Wall, and then like obviously didn't understand it as a child, but it blew my mind, like that sort of stuff. And then you listen to something, and then I was like, oh yeah, there's Dark Side of the Moon, like holy shit, like that's blowing my mind. And all of my favorite albums, it's like you go, well, yeah, they're all playing on it, they're performing on it, the song, but it's like the production of it is like also another aspect of it. You can create a little world for people with the right production. So I've always been really fascinated with recording, home recording, and producing and mixing stuff myself. Especially because I've gone into studios and I've recorded original stuff in studios and really not been happy with it at all. And I like that I can really put the attention to detail in that I want. But still at this point, I was still not really, I'd say I wasn't really earning enough money still at that point to really kind of like go and hire a bunch of musicians. And I didn't really know anybody who could be up to doing it. It was very much did start off as quite a personal thing as well. I mean, I wrote this song called Rivers of Ice, and that was kind of like where it started. That was sort of late 2018. And that sort of song for me kind of summed up how I'd felt for a long time. And again, it was sort of like I said about these sort of like transcendental experiences. Rivers of Ice was kind of like a song about that. It was about being able to start again and to believe in yourself, and that's the kind of what I wanted to make, was write music like that could encourage people and but also really transcend you into kind of a different space. I love like putting tons of effects on guitars. I like making these huge walls of sound and stuff. It's like I'm known as a vocalist, but like I think my true love of music has always been in production. It's been in the whole thing. When you listen to an amazing album, you hear everything in it. You hear the production, you hear the songwriting, you hear the way the guitarist plays, the way the bass player plays, the way the drummer plays. And I love all of those different elements, and I love how things are created. And I'm such a nerd about this stuff. Like I spent so much of my time researching how albums were made, and that kind of stuff. It just fascinates me. The whole technical side of it does. So with Vertigo, I was very much determined to see if I could do it myself. Just see if I can just create an experience from start to finish that I was happy with. And yeah, it was sort of an exercise in doing that, really. But it was personal for other reasons, because it was at the start of 2019, a friend of mine who had known for a really long time, unfortunately took his own life. This was a guy who had introduced me to a lot of things in my teenage years that really changed my mind or changed my perspective about what I thought about the world. He had quite an influence on me, basically, growing up. So, which then led to, you know, figuring myself out or choosing certain musical styles, making completely, you know, when you meet people and they just like they you don't realize it at the time maybe as such, but they're quite formative, or they're quite impactful moments, you know, in life. So I was very much, after he passed, it was sort of this really reflective period for me, and all of a sudden I just couldn't write about anything other than that. And then it kind of one day just clicked, and I went, I need to make this as I know what this is going to be. I know that there's something very important that I need to say. There's something that I need to process through this, and it might be probably the most inspired thing I've ever done because of that. It just felt like nothing else really mattered other than at that time making that. I pretty much wanted to make it as if it was sort of sorry, but I sound like such an intense person. I'm really not. I'm actually quite chill. You know, I'm like, you know. But no, it was just it just really impacted me in a really big way, and the result was that album. It was just really much a journey from start. Because I did know him really well, but I hadn't seen him for quite a while, and it's just yeah, so going through all of that. I think it's when somebody does pass away in your life, and it's been someone you've been especially close to. It's not like you know, an old relative or something, you know, which is sad, but it's like, I suppose it's different when you've had sort of these bonding experiences together where, you know, you've been out in a random field somewhere smoking a joint together for the first time, you know, having stupid laughs together. You've been talking about all of these, you know, mental ideas that you have and stuff about things. And they really resonated with you as you've grown older, and they've impacted you in your life. And it's you know, the album pretty much became about that, because there were originally songs about how I felt about myself, but then when he passed away, it was like I just saw the influence that he'd had on me as a person. It was the first time I'd really ever experienced that, so that's how it kind of presented itself. So kind of being a bit of a tribute to him, but also this kind of sense of that how would I put it, almost that like life in and of itself, it just sort of, after that, I really did feel that life was less of a game anymore. That, you know, it was sort of that I should be really, really thankful that I'm here, that so many other people are here, that they just miraculously that any of this is happening to all of us, you know, and very much a sort of, how would I put it? I'm trying to find the words for it. It's kind of like a moment of realization about one's mortality, the impermanence of things, you know, and that's kind of what that album is about. You know, it's about people who felt the way my friend felt, and yeah, it was a really meaningful thing for me to make. And I knew that, like, I didn't have a record label, didn't have any PR for it, I didn't have any of that stuff, but I know that that was what I wanted to do. I want to write things that are meaningful to me, and are true and are genuine. It's not bullshit, you know. I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. I'm trying to create something that I hope people will listen to, really feel, you know. And that's kind of what I really wanted to do with that, you know. As well as all of the technical aspect of doing it myself, and really trying to create an atmosphere with it, because I wanted it to sound like its own little world in a way. So, yeah, it was something really, really incredibly. I think it's the one thing I've done in my life that I'm really proud of as a musician, is that. And I'm just really grateful that anybody's listened to it.
It does
Really
sound like
genuinely.
it does sound like this album has, I don't want to say saved your life. That's probably not the right words, but it seems like it's reinvigorated your love for music. It's done that thing you wanted to do since the start of it. It's helped you grieve over the loss of a friend. It's helped you do all these emotions. It feels like this is me on this
That was
album.
pretty much what it was, because it was like a kind of a sense of, yeah, this is what I do. This is unashamedly me, and the musical influences and the personal things that have inspired or influenced the album as well. Definitely, I'd say, yeah, it felt to me like a culmination of everything I'd wanted to do for a really long time. I obviously would have preferred it that my friend would be here instead, and have made the album be the way it was. I think it would have probably turned out a little bit differently. But even then, still, the aim still would have been sort of the same, in that I was looking to make something that really was the culmination of everything I'd learned and all the time that I'd put in learning how to write songs, learning how to produce, learning how to mix. I even mastered the thing myself as well, learning how to master, just doing every aspect of it to try and create something that, would normally cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to try and do in a top-notch studio with a bunch of session guys or band members. And, it's like, I just felt like I needed to do it for me. Like, I really needed to sort of do it for me first and foremost. And it turned out great because of that, because I was happy with it. And it was great to sort of share that with everybody as well. And the fact that people liked it, people listened to it, and I've had so many lovely messages about it. I mean, the other day I was sending out prints of the album artwork to fans and stuff. It was just really nice. So yeah, definitely was. Yeah, I'd say what you said was pretty spot on, really.
Yeah, it is. I definitely implore anyone listening to this, go check it out. It is really good. So what's the future plans now?
Well, this year has been, like I think I probably said at the beginning, it's sort of, I really, really wanted to I really wanted to start work straight away on a follow-up for Vertigo, because that took about 9 months for me to really put together. I was pretty much working on it all of 2019, really, and released it at the end of the year. And that was really intense, because, like I said, it was just sort of, I did that almost as if it was going to be like the last thing I was ever going to do as a musician. I always find that, like, I do have a bit of that kind of tendency anyway in music, because it just doesn't feel like I've done something important enough for myself personally. If I don't feel like I've put everything of myself into it, So I really wanted to start writing new stuff, because I thought I needed to personally do that for myself, for all of the reasons I've just explained to you. But also, that's still only one side of what I can do, and I'm really excited to kind of work on a new thing that explores some new influences, explores different things, and more upbeat, because I think Vertigo is quite a meditation on life, and it's very good. It's very slow, very slow and kind of heavy, but feeling to me. Whenever I listen to it, I'm like, it's quite intense for me. And I wanted to make something that, was more exciting instrumentally, or more exciting tempo-wise, and kind of do something different. So I don't want to repeat myself, and I want to give myself the challenge of trying something new. But then when, pandemic happened, that all just went out the window for me. It was just like, I suddenly couldn't write, because I really wanted to make 2020 the year where, a year where I sort of have some new experiences, and couldn't really have that instead. The same I can imagine for so many people. I mean, a lot of people have obviously made influence out of lockdown, and a song that I wrote last month and put together, that is pretty much about this, what we're all going through. And I didn't really realise at the time that I was sort of writing a lockdown song. It was also the first song I put vocals to. First song I'd sang this year, since like April. I didn't sing at all. April till October.
Damn.
So it was pretty much, I came up with these lyrics. I was writing demos and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, it's all right, it's okay, it's not really doing it. I'm trying to find the next thing, and then I wrote the song and just went, I need to record this. I need to just get this down, and pretty much that first take is on the track. And I kind of shelved it for a while, and then because I thought, people aren't gonna like this one. It's a bit too. It's not, it's not this enough, or it's not that enough, And then I showed it to a few people and said, I wrote this recently. And then it was quite funny because someone just says, do you not realize the irony of writing a song about wanting to be yourself and then not releasing it? I was just like, yeah, to be fair, that's a really good point.
That's a really good point.
So, that's kind of what I'm wanting to do next. That's something I'm planning, or at least sort of toying with the idea of putting out. That'll probably be the first new thing I'm putting out since Vertigo, which has been a year. I can't believe I've not put anything out for a whole year, but I also can at the same time. It's been because I don't not only put so much of myself into that, but then the whole world stopped, this year as well. So it's so I decided to take this year to just focus on myself, get myself in a better place, get myself physically healthier. I lost loads of weight this year as well compared to how I was at the end of last year, and just did a load of really positive things this year, and I'm able to kind of come back to the music now and go, okay, it's going to sound bigger and better than ever, and I'm going to feel more inspired to make music. And the way this new track's gone, I'm really quite excited to sort of really release it to people, because I think it's not my words, but like from people I've shown it to, who usually are people who would say if it's shit, they'll tell me it's shit. But they were kind of like saying, this is probably like one of the best songs you've done, and that was really nice because it was a song I literally thought I didn't know if anyone was going to like this one, so I was literally planning on shelving it and just going, all right, I'm going to put that to one side, keep cracking on. But no, it's come back again, and I've gone, okay, I'm going to have to probably put this out.
I'm now intrigued now. I really want to hear this now.
It's the other thing as well is that I think I was quite hard on myself quite a long time, kind of feeling that everything I made had to be perfect on some level. It has to be right, and I'm kind of trying to develop more of a mentality now, which is in because I've had such a long time of not releasing stuff, and then all of a sudden suddenly releasing stuff, and then not releasing stuff again. I really want to just be a bit more brave with just releasing stuff. Once I've got something, if there's something I'm happy with, I just want to put it out and show people and just start making more music, because it's what I've really wanted to do for a long time, is to put more music out. And I feel like I'm in a place now where I can do that and fully get behind it and release new things. So I'm looking forward to releasing a whole bunch of new stuff. And I want to do some covers again. I think I might do some covers again as well. Something I've been thinking of doing. So yeah.
Would you like to do a solo tour?
I would love to do a solo tour. It's just whether I could get the interest behind it, really, to kind of make it worthwhile, both myself and people, and find the guys to do it. I would absolutely do that.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
No, I appreciate it.
Follow you.
I would like it to be able to just do justice to the material, and just it was something I really wanted to start putting together this year. I was kind of like, maybe I could. I know a few really good people. I'd love to sort of, even if it's just one show, maybe 2 shows, just see where it goes. I'd love to, put something together. Let's play these songs live, because I would absolutely love to, and I'd jump at the opportunity to do so. So yeah, 2020 kind of just put a pause on all of that stuff for me. In a good way and a bad way. It's good because I have the time to sort of just not for a while with the music thing, because I've never stopped really since like I was 9. So there's that aspect of it, but also the kind of like I was just getting rolling with things. So I'm hoping that like this whole thing is at least manageable for everyone.
He's hoping.
Hopefully fucks off soon.
Yeah, that hopefully I can kind of start really seriously considering that again, making that a reality. So that'd be awesome. I also want to just say that I appreciate you taking the time to sort of just listen, because I know I have a lot to say. I do ramble a lot, so thanks for.
Don't worry about
We
it.
love
It's
it.
all good.
It's what
Yeah.
we love doing this.
I hope what I've said has been interesting, so thanks.
Absolutely not. I mean, I'm sat here like. I'm joking. I'm not. I'm really not. I am messing with you. It is all good. We're loving it. Absolutely loving it.
No, I appreciate it.
Tom, have you got any more questions before we move on to our little game?
I've got one question left.
Yeah.
Jasper just wants to say, hey, how you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously he's the man that put me onto you.
Yeah.
And Helen, his wife, has asked if you'll be going back to Strictly once COVID is over.
Okay. It really is. I just have to wait and see. That's all I know. Because I think this year, obviously, because they've had, it's obviously been difficult for them to put it on this year because of the whole social distancing thing. I don't think it's necessarily would have been a wise idea on their part to sort of bring in random singers in every week, like just keep the same people every week. I think is what they've gone for. So that's why I haven't heard anything this year. Oh. But I'd love to do it again. So again, it's one of those, if I needed, I'm there. So
awesome.
That's awesome. Right. So before we go, we like to play a little game with our guests. We just call it the quick fire round. It's 6 questions, and we ask, and you just answer them as quick as you can. Nice and simple.
Sure. Go for it.
Favorite pizza topping?
Chicken. Just chicken, straight up.
Banging.
Favorite cartoon growing up?
Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, good choice.
Great choice.
One album you can't live without.
Ooh, that is a tough one. That's a really tough question. I'm going to try and answer as quick as possible. But one album I couldn't live without. Frank Zappa, Joe's Garage, Acts 1, 2, and 3. I don't know. How about that?
It's a very random choice. I like it. Who would play you in a movie of your life?
Orlando Bloom.
Oh, great show! Is that from visual?
Yeah, just visual. I don't know. Yeah.
I like the cringe on your face, and you're like, I can't believe I just said that. I've admitted I am that handsome. Jesus.
No, I just think he's like the go-to blonde actor in a way. Like, just think who's blonde? Oh, it's Orlando Bloom. You look like Orlando Bloom. It's just like
I can see it now. You've mentioned it.
I kind of was, yeah. One song that you've recorded that you're most proud of from any of your projects?
That I'm most proud of. That's a really hard one. That is a really hard question. Because I've done so many different things where it's like, that's amazing for these reasons. This is amazing for that reason. This fits in with this.
Everything then.
No, there's some stuff I'm absolutely cringe at. There's some stuff I absolutely hate. I think, proudest thing I've ever done musically, song-wise, I'd say Message from the Water. That's off Vertigo at History's Edge. It's not even like the most vocally ridiculous song on the album. It's actually quite mellow, but just the thing as a whole, like it just, the emotion that I'm trying to convey in that song, just, it is that song. It just, I feel like I did it. So I'm really proud of that one.
I love that track.
And last question, any advice you would give to younger version of yourself?
Younger version to myself. Okay. Don't smoke cigarettes.
Always going to do more LSD.
The worst decision of my life was smoking cigarettes, honestly. I think that's the worst thing I've ever done. Seriously, don't smoke cigarettes. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Be true to yourself, and you be wary of reality TV shows.
Amazing, Richard. This has been so much fun. We've absolutely loved doing this. We've gone so long. Look, what time is it now? We've been going 2 hours. I think we've been going.
Really? Oh my god!
Yeah, we've been going quite a long. It's going to be a long one, but we've had an absolute blast. And you know, there's so many like motives you can take out of this interview. And it's like, don't give up. Just stick. Like I said, follow your dreams. Stick to what you'd love. Whatever And that's the sort of things we love to hear from people. So thank you so much for coming on. I had an absolute blast.
No, thank you guys for having me on. I've really, really enjoyed this. It's been awesome.
Thanks. I really appreciate that.
And I seriously mean what I said. It's like, your voice is incredible, sir. Like, just keep going. And I also meant that I now love you and I'm going to divorce my wife. So.
Well, yeah. I have that effect on men. Yeah.
It's those Orlando Bloomish looks.
No, cheers, guys. Man, it's been so fun. Thanks for having me. Really. Yeah.
It's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much, my friend.
And you guys.
Did you want to plug any socials before you get out of here?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. At Mitchel Emms, just at Mitchel Emms.
Okay. I'm on Instagram, but you get
YouTube. YouTube's another one because I want to post more stuff on there, and I am going to post more stuff on there. But I'd say Instagram, Facebook, YouTube is where I pretty much update most of my stuff most often. So any of those, I'm always posting crazy, stupid things. So
awesome. Well, Mitch, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this with us. We've really, really enjoyed it. It's been an honour, a pleasure. We'll have you back. I think it's wonderful. Yeah, sweet. Well, when the world reopens and we can actually go and do things, then obviously if you bring out another album, we'll have a beer as well. We'll go and do that at some point. Yeah, we'll go crazy, dude. Fucking here's 2021.
Yeah, 2021. Don't you dare curse us. Wonderful. Thank you so much, my friend.
Have a great night, man.
Cheers.
Take care. See you later, man.
Cheers.